This scenario was constructed to demonstrate the abilities of the Dynadjust instrument and the service center. As you will see, these concepts can be extrapolated for any level of training. Remember, as the student performs the assigned exercises, the instrument reports the metrics of each thrust. The student can use this real-time feedback to help them to refine their techniques as they work. The assigned sets are then uploaded to the service center, and the professor can evaluate the student on every aspect of their performance at a glance. He can then prescribe regimens to remedy whatever difficulties that the particular student encounters with their training. This system provides a permanent private record of achievement for the student with which to compare future accomplishments and to be used to determine with great confidence when the student is ready to move forward and progress through the program. Of course, remedial exercises, custom tailored to the needs of the student, can be assigned at any point in the program. This particular example is a first-term student whom has been assigned a simple P-to-A exercise for home study. The professor has demonstrated the doctor-patient positioning in class and explained the appropriate Dynadjust simulation and parameter settings prior to assigning this home study regimen. In this case, the parameter setting for the Dynadjust instrument was number 3, which could be considered a beginner's level setting with relatively liberal margins for error. The student was asked to perform 2 sets of thrusts for each of the 3 springs and then to upload the data collected for review by the professor. The doctor-patient posture is standing in modified fencer stance, and the professor's demonstration expounded on the need to maintain proper lumbar lordotic curve, etc. The thrust vector is posterior to anterior with the Dynadjust instrument tangential to the table and the top of the instrument at approximately navel level. The doctor contact is a bilateral thenar eminence with fingers pointing towards the head of the patient. Of course, if the exercise was one in which one hand is dominant, the student would be advised to exercise the hands separately, and additional work may be assigned for the non-dominant hand as needed. Primary student muscle involvement is also explained, so that the student will know which muscles to flex during the tissue pull phase of the thrust in order to take advantage of the isometric and plyometric training aspects of this exercise. In this case, it is the triceps muscles bilaterally. The student was asked to perform 2 sets of thrusts with each of the 3 springs, yellow to red to black, and to rest for 5 minutes between sets, and to hold pre-tension or tissue pull for at least 3 seconds with each thrust. As you see, the student has difficulty holding the pre-manipulative tension prior to the thrust. The student is releasing tension just prior to the thrust, essentially bouncing off the patient. As you know, this is one of the most common problems that are seen with beginners. We see that the student demonstrates very little control over the depth of the thrust and wavers from a straight line of drive more and more as the spring tension is increased. As the student gains proficiency with this simple exercise, the instructor will introduce variations in the form of different angles for the instrument, etc. The instructor may also assign thrusting exercises which incorporate combined motion, such as adding a rotational component. Of course, the instrument can measure the amount of rotational motion in degrees. As an example, the professor may ask the student to add 30 degrees of rotational motion in both directions, perhaps even with different hand contacts. After the professor has evaluated the uploaded set that we have just seen and instructed the student about what to do in order to overcome the problems, the student performs the remedial work on his own time and, when ready, uploads sets of the same exercises. With these new sets of exercises, we see that the problem with the lost tissue pull is virtually gone. The line of drive accuracy and depth control is vastly improved. This objectively demonstrates that the student is gaining significant control over their ability to modulate the physical aspects of their thrusting. Even the speed of these thrusts is approaching a professional level grade. It is now time for this student to move into more difficult exercises with tighter margins for error and to begin concentrating on more sophisticated aspects of skill development. Because this exercise represents one of the more fundamental skills to be acquired, and because it lends itself to so many other applications, it is one that should be part of the rudiments of Dynadjust training. A natural enhancement for this exercise, to be assigned once the rudiments are mastered, would be the additional of rotational combined motion or torque. The professor would assign goal metrics for rotational torque for the exercise. The professor also has the option to add exercises which include incorporating the Dynadjust appliance to provide resistance in rotational thrusts as the student demonstrates readiness for advancement. In most cases, the Dynadjust User's Guide can be used to assign exercises and remedial or enhanced exercises that can be prescribed by the professor with just a few keystrokes or clicks, as the most common prescriptions are provided online.